y'all. Welcome to Fixin' the Garden. This is Georgia Zone 8B. I hope everyone had a great weekend celebrating July the 4th. I'm going to show y'all what's in full bloom here at the beginning of July 2025. With the heat and humidity climbing in the upper 90s and triple digits, the plants that are blooming have to be tough. So if your garden is lacking now that the blooms from spring to early summer perennials have gone over until their next flush, you may want to jot a few of these plants down to add to your garden to give it non-stop color. And of course, stick around to the end where you will see what still has blooms on it from earlier episodes. So let's get started. Right, this is the Luminary series of phlox from Proven Winners. It is a panicle phlox and it has now just come into bloom here in July. And we have two varieties here. We have the ultraviolet phlox, and then we have, this is the backlight phlox. And I just want to tell y'all a little bit about both of these. The Luminary series is known for its disease resistance, even though we have had a lot of rain. So we have a little bit of mildew issue happening with ours right now. But I don't think that that's typical. I think it's just, like I said, we've just had so much rain. I just love this color. It really pops. I had planned on this flower bed to be more pastel-y. You've heard me talk about that before, but I just saw these and thought they were so striking. And I loved it so much that I grew this gomphrena over here that kind of echoes that same color. So it kind of has the same drift continuing in coloration over to the right of it. But back to the phlox. So this is the ultraviolet, Luminary ultraviolet phlox from Proven Winners. It has a dark green foliage, or it should, and then it gets about 36 inches tall, 30 inches wide. And this backlight over here is supposed to get about 30 inches tall and 24 inches wide. And let me talk to y'all about, you can see that they, in coloration, the panicles look very similar, but the plants are actually a little bit different. Some of that is because of us. So this backlight was purchased online from Proven Winners, and it came in quart pots. And we had it in the first year, and we had a terrible case of spider mites the second year, which really set them back. Then we realized that we're probably not giving them enough water. It says average water on their website, but I would say that they probably like a little bit more than average. Of course, not necessarily wet feet or boggy, but definitely not dry at all. And this does get quite a bit of sun in the afternoon. And so I just think at times they were just getting a little too dry. So we started, we put a higher emitter on our drip system and then started giving them some fertilizer to try to help spur them on. I think the one in the back there is a little bit smaller and stunted too, because it doesn't get quite as much sun back there because of the shade from the fence behind it. These two in the front, they were purchased at Lowe's, and they were in gallon pots, and we got those last year, and so they look like they're so much further along than the rest of them. And then these to the right, we had the prismatic pink that we also got at Lowe's last year at the same time we got the two ultraviolet. They only had two of the ultraviolet, so I decided to get the other three, finish it off with the prismatic pink. But in my opinion, the ultraviolet has such cool, even though it's bright, it's on the more of a cooler shade of purpley pink or magenta, whereas the prismatic pink to me was very warm pink. And I don't really typically like mixing my cools and my warms. I've talked to y'all a little bit about that, talking about the orange coming from these cone flowers, it being a little bit of an issue for me in the way my eye sees things. So when we put in our annual order for this year, we got from Garden Crossing 3 more of the ultraviolet phlox, and they came in quart sizes as well, because when you order online, just so you know, typically quarts are what's most available. Every once in a while you can get a gallon, but most of the time it's just in quarts. So that's the difference in the sizes and why they maybe look a little bit different. We're still hoping that these backlight phlox will continue to kind of come back from their spider mite damage and just their rough start that they had at the beginning, and will continue having more of a uniform look amongst these phlox. But either way, their blooms are beautiful. The pollinators love them, and it's great here at heat of summer where a lot of things are starting to lull. It really fills the gap in as far as seeing some really fresh blooms. So this is the Luminary Phlox series from Proven Winners. And this is Radiance Abelia. I had showed y'all last month the Kaleidoscope Abelia was in bloom, and now the Radiance Abelia is in bloom. Also, this is a shrub from Southern Living Plants, and we picked this one because it's got nice variegation. It's a little bit slower to bloom, I believe, because it gets a little bit more shade back here than the Kaleidoscope does. The Kaleidoscope does get afternoon shade, but it's full sun up until the afternoon time, whereas this one just gets peeps of sun on and off all day and then gets hot afternoon sun. So it gets about 3 feet tall and then 3.5 feet wide, so wider than tall. And then what I did was, while we were waiting for it to grow into its mature size, we decided to plant, like I showed y'all a minute ago, this Gomphrena around it. And in the front, this is Saffron Finch Supertunia, just to kind of fill in the spot while we wait for it to mature. This is an evergreen plant, and like I said, I chose it because of the variegation on it would create some interest. And it should hopefully over time get a few more flowers than it has on it right now. The pollinators do love these flowers that are on Abelia, and I love the calyx at the tips, make it look like it's a double bloom, but that's really just the calyx, and then the white bloom is its flower. Also very interesting is its red stems. It just, I don't know, I just love this plant. It has so much interest for it to be a shrub, which you don't necessarily always think of as being colorful interest, but shrubs can be great interest in your garden as well. Again, this is one of those plants that our little local nursery just kind of surprised me with. They get these really like a lot of new to the market plants, but they'll only get a few of them. It's like they're testing them out in our area. And this is Echibeckia. So it is a hybrid between Echinacea and Rudbeckia. So it's got the fast growing nature of Rudbeckia and the disease resistance of Echinacea. And so I only have one here. We planted these late last summer to fall, and I only have one because that's all that made it. These plants do not like to have wet feet, and I think over the winter they got too much rain. I think this is the Sun Chaser variety. Again, I don't know. It didn't have a tag in it. It just had a sign saying Echibeckia. They get 2 feet tall to 1.5 feet wide, and this one actually, it's just a survivor, I guess. This plant regrew from the base, so actually it looked like the whole rootstock was dead, and I left all 3 of them, hoping and praying that they would still make it. And this little guy, he shot off a new plant to the side from the root base, and I was so excited. I can only hope that I can find some more and finish off this little area with more than one. In the meantime, I planted Oxford Blue Scabiosa. It's an annual Scabiosa. Anyways, back to this plant. I'm so pleased with it, and the flowers, y'all, are so big. I'd like to put my hand up there, but as you can see, it's covered in pollinators, and I really don't want to disturb them. But the petals, this one doesn't have one. Look how wide. They're very wide. I think they can get 3 or 4 inches wide. Oh, look at this one here. It's like the petals are fused together. They're facing each other. That's very odd. I wonder what happened there. Anyways, take a good look at your plants. You'll never know what you may find. But from far away, it is just really a beautiful plant. And I am so happy to have it here in my garden. And like I said, hopefully I'll be able to find some more. So again, this is Echibeckia, I believe the Summerina variety. Don't hold me to that. There's a lot of varieties in this series. I would love to see some more. They had one called, I think it's Summer Glow or something like that. That's actually a pink variety that I would love to have. But this yellow with the orange variegation center is absolutely striking, especially the large diameter of the petals. So Echibeckia. Okay, for any of you other plant nerds out there, after seeing this and talking to y'all about it, I decided to go inside and Google, and I wanted to share with y'all what I came up with. So the Wisconsin Horticulture Society did an article on fasciated or fascination of blooms. It can be harmful from something like yellow aster's disease, but it can also just be something very benign, like from a hormonal imbalance or something like that. So it said you can leave it or take it away, but here, you think that it's something weird that only you've seen, and it's not. So I'm so thankful for the internet to be able to help me figure that out. Very interesting though, how that is. And I thought that it was 2 stems that had grown together, but it's actually just 1 stem. I think that's pretty cool. Y'all tell me what you think. Have y'all seen this in any of your plants before? So this is a Limelight Standard. Of course, it's got its beautiful panicle blooms that all Limelight hydrangeas have. And by standard, if you don't know, that is just meaning that it's in a tree form. We had this at the front of our house, and it had a match that flanked either side of our sidewalk. But one side got more sun than the other, and so the tree was really wonky as far as like one looked better than the other, and so it made the one that wasn't as great look really bad. So we got rid of one, we gave it to a friend, and then this one we kept. And I'm not sure if it's the same kind of situation happening. This is like our 4th year with it back here, and each year it kind of gets a little bit worse, and we keep thinking, well, maybe it'll change, and you may be thinking, well, it looks fine to me, but if you come over to this side, it's dead on this side. And so what's weird is, like, if you do a scratch test, the limbs look like they have life in them, but for whatever reason they don't ever pin on any leaves. And so this is probably our last year with it, because like I said, it keeps getting worse and worse. And so it looks really funny. And I don't know if it's just, again, a sun shade issue, because as you can tell, the left side of this gets a lot more shade than the right. So the right looks fabulous, and so that's what makes it hard to get rid of, but the left is quite sad looking. But I included it because I told y'all I would be real with y'all, and this is something that is blooming new in our yard, and so I wanted to show y'all the beautiful blooms. And if you can hopefully get one that doesn't have a wonky side to it, I highly recommend it. They're beautiful, and really enjoy them. Y'all, this is my Serendipity Allium. I don't know what is really going on with it. It is in bloom. Every year we're like, oh, if it doesn't do something, we're gonna get rid of it. But the population as a whole in the garden world loves this plant. But I have just had so much struggle with it. So it bloomed this year, but I don't know if you can tell, the stems didn't really get very tall. So I'm not sure what that is all about. They should be much taller. Excuse the weeds, they are down in the middle of the plant, and I can't really pull the weed without disturbing the plant. But here they are. these plants here are just now setting bud. And again, the ones that are flowering, they're barely above the canopy of the leaf canopy. So I'm not sure what is going on here. We have fertilized and we've tried to not overwater and do all the things that we think that alliums like. We haven't had much of a difference. They did bloom, and I do believe that's because of the extra fertilizer that we gave them this year. But anyways, I don't know again if we'll keep this plant because it just doesn't look as impressive as it's supposed to. So you tell me, what does your serendipity look like and what's your key to making it have tall stems? So this is the Pinky Winky Hydrangea. It is a panicle hydrangea. Y'all, there is a hawk or something that is just a squawking, so I apologize if y'all can hear that. That's what that screeching noise is. Anyways, we put these two back in the corner. They get 8 feet tall and 8 feet wide. For some reason, when we put them in, we put them way too close together, and so we had to go back in last year and move them literally just a foot or so apart and pull them up to give them room to fill out. I believe this is their 3rd season, so as you can see, they're really fast growers. We did put them in the ground in 3-gallon pots, faster growing than any of our other panicles that we've ever had. These are a proven winter plant, and they came out with a Pinky Winky Prime, which actually is bigger at 9 feet tall and wide, but it was improved in that the bloom is supposed to be bigger. And I'm very pleased with these, even if they have a smaller bloom. They're just very delicate, and I love, like I said, the lace cap look of their blooms. I zoomed in here, hopefully y'all can see there's just a little bit of pink on the edge of the petals. This is Daisy May. It's part of the Amazing Daisy series for Improving Winters. It may look a little strange right now. We got these on the clearance rack at Lowe's, so of course we got a really great price on them, but they looked pretty bad. So what we did was we brought them home, we cut everything back, sprayed them down to make sure they didn't have any insect issues, because a lot of times they come to us that way if we get them off the clearance area, and they've now begun to rebloom. So they start blooming in the spring. They're spring through summer as long as you deadhead them. They are known to have many flowers on them, and as you can see, this one right here has got tons of new growth and buds on them. This one on the left, we ended up cutting it all the way back because it was only growing from the center, so I thought maybe that would help it kind of catch up to these other ones. I'm not sure why the other two that have blooms on them did so well, but I'm glad, because now I get to share them with y'all. But they attract bees and butterflies and will continue to bloom as long as I keep them deadheaded. And they get 24 inches tall to 14 inches wide, so I like that they're kind of nice and narrow. They're easy then to tuck in to spaces. I really wish they would have had more. I would have liked to extended this grouping, and maybe I'll be able to get my hands on some more next year to do that. We're just going to go around and show y'all what's still in bloom from past episodes. Here we have the Echibeckia Abelia, looking really great. You can see it has these little white flowers and the little pink. I've talked about these in the videos. They have like a pink calyx on the end, which also look like flowers, and then the white bell shape. And I tell y'all, we've seen a lot of hummingbirds on this plant. This is incredible hydrangea. We did a little bit of grooming on it, deadheading some of the blooms on the bottom because they were having a hard time holding up to the weight. Oddly enough, the ones that are at the top are actually on the newest growth that we have on this plant. All of these really long stems grew just this season. This is our other incredible hydrangea. It's got a lot more shade. I would say that it gets less than 4 hours of sun every day, and it is looking really great. This is Opening Act Blush garden phlox. It's trying to do its rebloom from the Chelsea chop. It does have a little bit of fungal issues happening, so not every one of them are blooming, but we have a couple of blooms here and there. So this is Pearl Glam Beautyberry. It is a native plant, and the little white flowers will turn into purple berries come fall time. And we've got a few there, and then you can see, let's see if I can get real close. Some of the flowers have gone over to the berry, and they're little green berries, and then they'll turn like a fuchsia pink come fall time. This cat's pajama nepeta, and it's starting to do its rebloom from the Chelsea chop. Not much, but a little bit. This is Firefly Peach Sky Yarrow. Again, it was part of our Chelsea chop. If you haven't seen that video, you should go back and watch it. I'll put the link in the description so you can watch that, or click the link above. And it's getting some new flowers on it. It's looking a little rough. I think next year I'll probably go ahead and chop it all the way to the ground instead of just doing part of the plant. I think it'll come back a little healthier looking. And this is Denim and Lace Russian Sage. It's still in bloom as well. And there's a third one back here, but these salvia have created a little too much shade for it. So I believe we're going to take the salvia out. It was a transplant annual from last year that winterized over. So I don't know if you consider that a perennial or an annual. But here, I guess it's a perennial, because not only did it come back, but it also was moved. And I will say it is a hummingbird favorite. And its name is Rockin' Blue Suede Shoes from Proven Winners. So I feel like it's not blooming quite as much because of the fact that it is not really supposed to be a perennial. But this area right here has quite a bit. So it's more plant than it is blooms. All right, this is Summer-Long Magenta Agastache, and it is doing really great this year. It was on last month's video for the first time. If you can see, there's a little bumblebee. He's asleep on here. Let's see if I can get him. So cute. All right, and this is Pugster Amethyst Butterfly Bush from Proven Winners. I decided not to do as much deadheading. I typically stay on top of these butterfly bushes, but they keep getting some kind of insect issue, so I thought instead of it needing to regrow really quickly, I would just let them do their thing this season and see what happens. And because they will naturally rebloom even if I don't deadhead, but the deadheading just makes it look nicer. All right, I think this is Dressed Up Wedding Gown. I can't quite remember the name because it's the one that I told y'all it's got multiple names, was in the can, the nursery can when we got it. But it's still blooming, holding on, and they are starting to age a bit. We have some new growth off to the left, so I'm hoping that it will put on a new bloom soon. The Blue Fortune Agastache has been covered in bees non-stop, so if you're wanting a great pollinator plant, I definitely recommend that one for you. This is Tiger's Eye Coneflower. It has been cut back, deadheaded, and is making its second flush. Like I said, the picture, if y'all go back and look at past episodes, shows that this is actually supposed to be a peach flower, but it is nice and warm orange. There's not much peach about it. So we have a couple of blooms. And again, it's dealing with bugs, as we always do around here. This one little bloom is half eaten. All right, this is Little Lavender Candy Butterfly Bush. As you can see, the butterfly is enjoying it. And I have a grouping here of multiple butterfly bushes. Next to it is Pugster Blue. See if I can get all the butterflies flying around. It definitely lives up to their name. And back behind there is Meant to Be Nectarine Agastache. It's the peach color. It's done really well for me. I love the height on it. Some Agastache, you can get them in a 12-inch of height, and then this one I think is supposed to get 3 feet, but it's all of that, if not a little bit more. And then I planted, of course, the Blue Fortune Agastache next to it. Our Gara's come back from Chelsea Chop and is flowering there in the back. We have 3 of those. As you can see, the sun is different for all of them. And this is Double Scoop Bubblegum Coneflower. It doesn't ever look as good once its first flush has happened, but it's trying, and it brings a little bit of color to this area that doesn't bloom until later the fall. And these are our gardenia plants. They've tried to put on another flush. There's not, but you know, 5, 6, half a dozen blooms here or there. They are a double flowering. I don't know the variety, but they do put on a beautiful bloom still. It's a double bloom. And like I said, they don't all bloom nicely as they do their first flush in the spring, but I love that they do rebloom. Let's see if I can get a few more blooms. There's one, and then there's a grouping, and the ones in the back over there. All right, our Atlas roses are kind of here or there, so this one has nothing but spent buds on them. I need to come back and deadhead them. This dragonfly is enjoying just getting to still be here. Sorry if you can't see that. And this one's all spent. This one's got some on it. Again, not a ton. I'm not really pleased with how the flowers do the reblooming process. Just is very sparse, and the plant itself, the leaves just always make it look kind of scraggly. So I'm trying to contemplate maybe what to put here in the future and get rid of these. And this is our Lilac Crush hibiscus. We've talked about this before. Hibiscus bloom only for a day. So if I zoom in closer, sorry, the light's kind of harsh this morning. You can see they're yesterday's spent blooms, and then these will be coming probably tomorrow. I have to be careful sticking my hand up here because typically it's got bees all in it. So again, the blooms are every bit the size of your hand. They're just beautiful. Well, there you have it. There are plants out there that are tough enough to handle this heat and humidity that even I struggle in. But be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos about how to take care of your plants when it is hot. And there's still more plants to bloom later this season, so I hope y'all will stick around. If this video was helpful, I would appreciate a like or comment. We'll see y'all soon.